Hello everyone. Today I want to go over an important lesson that I feel is going to be helpful for everyone in your trading journey. I'd like to first go over Wednesday's overnight analysis or forecast. Posted this at 1:26 a.m. last night, going into the London session. It's usually when I post this on X. So the weekly candle returned close to its opening price after a bearish day on Tuesday. And as per ICT's teachings of a classic bullish weekly profile, Wednesday should now be an expansion day higher, and Tuesday would have formed the low of the week. Here on the daily chart, we can see the bodies are showing discount sensitivity, with Tuesday's candle closing in the upper half of the daily BISI, the upper quadrant even, and ideally this should be the low of the week. Looking at the hourly chart, I would like to see price get above the new week opening gap and use the upper half as support to move higher towards the annotated buy side for Monday. I made an important note that if price reached that drawn liquidity overnight and continued to expand higher, the AM session would be less favorable because it has completed the move that I wanted to see. That was the narrative that I was coming in with in today's session. Again, this is Tuesday's low right here. Price displacing higher towards the close of the day. After the new day opens, staying in the upper half, showing strength, closing above the daily inefficiency, and working its way towards that new week opening gap. So with that analysis in mind that I had, let's look at how price behaved overnight before we dive deeper. So I made that post with around 1:30, which is right around here. This down close candle, price was trying to work its way into the new week opening gap. And as you can see, it consolidated here for a bit on the 15-minute. And going into the London kill zone, the 3 o'clock hour, we can see it began to displace higher, creating relative equal highs, but failing to reach that buy side or taking out these equal highs here as well. Broke lower, going into the pre-session, continued lower. We had the PPI news release today at 8:30, and at 9:30 open, it immediately sold off and was working its way into the daily inefficiency that we've been using since yesterday. The draw that I was anticipating here, the buy side, was still intact, and with that in mind, I wanted to see a level of some form of manipulation lower and an expansion towards that buy side drawn liquidity. So again, 9:30 opens, price breaks lower, using that upper eighth gradient level of that daily inefficiency as support, moves higher, breaks lower again, forming that first presented fair value gap, failing to reach midnight price and using that inefficiency here, showing premium sensitivity there, and then breaks lower. And as it broke lower, it got just below consequent encroachment of that daily inefficiency and failed to reach the sell side. Now, even though it didn't reach the sell side, I was anticipating a reversal here because I treat this as a mohawk. On a 1-minute time frame, the body getting just below a daily inefficiency's consequent encroachment can be permitted. And I was anticipating and seeing if we can have a recovery here, if price is able to show strength here and be able to utilize these SIBIs as inversion. So I had my eye on this one here because it's the lowest one. That would be the best form of entry. Price is in a deep discount relative to the midnight open as well as the opening range gap that formed. I don't have it annotated here, but you can take a look at that on your own chart. Now, as I said, I was looking to see if price would offer an entry here, but seeing how the body closed just inside of the high and then it broke lower, I wanted to wait a bit longer. And then immediately the next candle validates this as a bullish order block by wicking above and closing even above this down close candle's opening price. Since price didn't offer that fill of reaching to the opening price, I waited a bit longer, closed above here, and let me turn on my execution so you can see. I saw this here as an immediate rebalance, which is a very strong sign of bullishness and showing strength. Next candle opens, I enter here just above consequent encroachment of this inversion fair value gap. Now, seeing this strong displacement here through this inefficiency, I wanted to see this body stay in the upper half because price has been continuously showing strength. Couldn't even reach this inversion fair value gap or the opening price of this bullish order block. Seeing this immediate rebalance here and all of this here created the balanced price range because price has delivered to the sell side and then to the buy side. So there was no reason for price to break lower the way it did here, which is why I had my stop placed just below this inefficiency. And that may be too tight in the volatile environments that we're seeing at the moment. However, seeing the strength that price was showing, I felt comfortable risking that. And although that it stopped me out, to me, there was no reason for price to get below this inefficiency and the way it closed here. And as you can see, price heavily consolidated. And none of this seems algorithmic, although it was respecting the upper half of this inefficiency, just seeing the lack of displacement and price movement in this range. That is not something that you want to see. The overall narrative was still intact. In an effort to remain solvent, I will only execute one time despite what price is showing and what I see in price. So seeing it respect the inversion fair value gap and this bullish order block once again here, that's price getting it back in line with its original narrative. And from here, you can see how it delivered exactly as anticipated, rallied higher, consolidated, try to dig into the upper half of this inversion fair value gap, using this opening price as support of this down close candle, the propulsion block, which is an order block that is within another order block, before working higher, delivering higher prices towards the anticipated drawn liquidity, ultimately reaching the annotated buy side from Monday. So the lesson here is, looking back, although I was right with my overnight analysis, expectation, and price action, the outcome did not go my way here. I got stopped out when it made no sense for price to reach these levels after creating a balanced price range, showing strong strength and displacement, and what appears to be completely unalgorithmic price action. There are going to be times where you will face these scenarios, but what's important is you don't allow these instances to breach your discipline and patience. Despite having a high conviction and knowing that price was still intact, the original narrative was still intact, because right now it is not in my plan to trade more than once per day, it is more important that I stick to my rules and avoid engagement and understand that this one-time instance, this singular transaction, does not define my ability to engage with price. On the contrary, sticking to my rules despite having the correct overall narrative and avoiding engagement after the stop out, that helps to build your character and discipline even stronger. In the long term, that is the real win. Had I engaged here and was able to capture a portion of this move and get a positive outcome out of it, but deep down I knew that I broke my rules and it violated the level of discipline that I had in place for myself, then that would still be a loss. And over time, that will build up and create problems in the long run. Do not allow a single transaction, positive or negative, to define yourself as a trader and allow it to be a catalyst to destroy your overall system. You have to desensitize yourself to the outcome, regardless of what it is, under what circumstance it is, and you have to treat every opportunity to learn and get better from. Now, this may not make sense to a lot of people because one may very well be okay with trading multiple times throughout the day and give themselves more opportunities. And that's totally okay. If that's in your system, there's nothing wrong with that inherently. However, the lesson is, if your rules are clearly defined, outcome does not give you permission to break them. I hope this example was helpful and you were able to take something away from it. If you learned something, please leave a like and comment. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.